Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my overview on the Hawk Knives Deadlock. So, I believe it's Gavin Hawk who designed the mechanism on this along with his son. I'm pretty sure I got that right. I know there's two Hawks, and one's a dad and one's a son. I just can't remember the name of one of them, but I'm pretty sure Gavin is the father. And I always want to say Ethan, but that's the actor. So apologies there. You can see this is the Model C. There's a patent number, and then you have Blade Steel 20CV. This thing's really cool. I think it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. I think if it's your bag, I think the price point actually does kind of make sense. I think it's a little pricey, but there's a lot of things that are really good about this. Ultimately, I'm glad I got it in from my buddy Chef Rocky. Shout out to him. Check out his Instagram. I will link it down below, as well as he has a YouTube channel now, so I'll tag him here. And I believe it's just Chef Rocky. So it's ultimately not my thing, and I'm glad I got to check it out because I didn't have to spend, the $1,500+ to get one to find that out. Now, I have carried this for a few days. He let me carry it and use it. I did use it, and I've tested it a little bit. I've tested to see how strong the spring is. It acts just like any other OTF. I can show you guys that in case anybody's curious. I will not disassemble this because this is not my knife. So I don't have permission to, and I really don't want to anyway because it's not my knife and it's very expensive. I will note something that bugs me a little bit right off the bat. Something we talk about all the time in the knife world that is a huge deal. Not a huge deal, but it's something that bothers a lot of people. And we give knives shit for it. But I've never once heard it in reference to this knife, and that's the fact that this uses all T6 screws. So these are T6, these are T6, those are T6. There's actually a screw you can go straight through there, and there's a screw right there. That's a T6. I found that interesting because on such an expensive knife like this, you would just think they would use a larger bit. Now, is it a big deal? Honestly, not really. But you do have to take all of these screws out if you want to take apart and maintain your knife, and you will need a T6. They do provide a Weeha sort of driver, one of these flag style ones. Comes in this pouch right here. This knife is designed, made, all that stuff in the United States. Comes in one of these pouches that, we've seen some other makers use as well. It comes with chapstick, and then it comes with this right here. T6. There you go. Oh, sorry, it's not a Weeha. It's a Bondis, which is also a very reputable, very good brand of tools. So, and here is Chef Rocky's card. All right. So, T6. I just found that interesting. I don't know why, but I will say the tooling is very good. I just checked to see that it was a T6, and I'll show you it here. Once you get that tool in there, I mean, it's not coming out. I don't think you're going to strip anything because it's so solid in there. They have deep tooling, and it takes a little bit of effort to get it out. So they did a great job with it. I just find it interesting that it was T6. Since I'm talking about nitpicks here, for me, if I spent this kind of money, which is like $1,500+ on a knife, I would not want this carbon fiber. This is like, to me, personally, this is like the cheap stuff. This is the stuff you see on like CJRBs for $30. I know that it's probably better than that, but it's just this kind of 3D layered, shiny stuff kind of gives me those vibes. Like, if you're going to do that type of carbon fiber, this at least looks better to me because it's kind of milled and contoured. This could very well be the same stuff, but it looks It is, actually, but it looks much better over here, the way that it's finished. So that bothers me a little bit just because of the price point. Here's another example from Kunwu knives using the same kind of stuff, but it's got just a better finish to it, honestly. This has just got this really, I don't know, the texture, everything, it just kind of looks and feels cheap, to be honest. Again, you know, that's going to be a subjective personal opinion type thing. But that's how I feel. That's what comes to mind. So I wanted to point it out. All right. So those are the two kind of gripes I guess I have. Not really a big deal. It still looks really good. I definitely would just prefer one in the fat carbon. But hey, some people think fat carbon looks like some kid splattered their, you know, crayon or something on it. So, you know, everybody has their own taste. Aesthetically, it is very cool. It has a very symmetric design, except for obviously the switch, the logo, the clip. But they did a good job adding this piece right here that kind of mimics the switch a little bit. And it does give it a very symmetrical kind of look to it. It, like most OTFs that I know of, I don't believe that, oh, maybe it does sit right in the center. I don't think so. This side looks taller. Let's measure it. Oops. Since we can, let's do it. Let's see. So from here to there is 0.176. And from here to there is 0.215. So there is a little bit more space on this side, but it does look damn near symmetric, which is something you don't see on OTFs. So it's really cool to see that. Also, obviously, the claim to fame on this is that there's no play or rock or anything, and there really isn't. It's amazing. And it fires and operates like any other OTF. Double action, I should say. In the sense that you slide forward, it pops out. You slide back, it slides back. You hit it into something, and it fails. Right? All of that is the same. And then you just either pull out, like so, and now you're back in action, or you can shake it down. Oops. This slides quite a bit, so you just need to, like that. Did not do it hard enough. I'm trying to be gentle here. I'm just going to do it off camera. And everything's back in working order. Tip is good. I didn't put it through anything, you know, crazy. I did test that on cardboard as well, and it did not go through the cardboard. Just because it's fully locked up does not mean this spring is like crazy strong and will penetrate everything. It still acts just like any other double action OTF. I don't have another one here, so I can't show you, but you guys probably know. It has a double-edged dagger design, which is not for me. And this is probably the main reason I wouldn't pick one of these up. I really like a lot about this. And if I got a fat carbon one, it would kind of take care of the issue I have with the carbon fiber. The T6, I don't personally care that much on this knife. It's just, it was kind of interesting to me is all, you know. But the double-edged dagger is sort of the problem for me personally, because I want a warny, a sheep's foot, even like a drop point would be fine. I'm not a fan of double-edged knives because I'm a choke-up guy. If you look at almost every knife I own, I mean, I'm trying to think of a knife I own that I can't choke up to the blade on, right? Like, yes, you can kind of choke up to here, but you can't put your thumb up and kind of use that choked up grip, right? I don't think I own a knife that doesn't choke up in some way. But anyway, I like to choke up like this and then rest my thumb here and do my cutting. Especially because what I mostly do is slice through paper, cardboard, tape, that kind of stuff. So I'm either doing this or I'm doing some kind of pinch grip kind of thing, right? And so when I was cutting cardboard with this, I had a few times where I almost like put my thumb down and put some weight into a cut, and I was like, oh shit. So I have to stay back here, and this is, you know, really as close as you can get is like this, but that's not comfortable unless you're stabbing. So you kind of back up like this with this finger and then press here with your thumb, and then you're slicing this way. And the cuts just felt weird. I honestly don't think it's the grinds, because what it felt like was when I was cutting, it felt like the material was going the opposite direction, and I'll kind of explain. So if I take basically any other knife, here's a Kaiser Clairvoyant, really cool new knife coming out. When I go to cut with it, you see how I'm cutting and the paper is sliding towards the tip, right? And then the tip comes out. That's what she said. On this knife, for some reason, when I was cutting that cardboard, it felt like the opposite. It felt like I was starting to pull the material in. Like, I ended up where I was kind of sliding forward, I think. I don't know. It was really strange. I would notice, like, I was down here. I'd start here, and I'd end up at, like, the choil. Now I was standing up. It was a different position, so I don't know. Just cutting like this, you can see it's very sharp. They did a great job with this 20 CV, and that's just one side. I can flip it over, and it's just as slicey. So I really didn't have an issue cutting. They did a really good job with these grinds. They're not overly thick in any way. I think they definitely put a really good edge on each side, so that helps. I don't know, you know, once that starts to dole out how it would feel, but it would work for EDC. It's just a little awkward because you can't do this, and that's just the way I like to do things. So I think it cuts really well, honestly, for what it is. But obviously, being a double-edged dagger, this knife is meant to stab and penetrate things, right? And I just don't care about that. It's just not something I think about when it comes to my knives. I don't want a self-defense weapon of any kind. I definitely don't want a $1,500 to $2,000 one. And I personally am just not drawn to the aesthetics of a double-edged dagger, where a lot of people are, you know? So if they come out with a sheep's foot version, or honestly any traditional blade shape version, I'll probably be way more interested. But I don't know if they'll ever do that because it wouldn't be symmetrical, you know? And that might be a big deal to them. I don't know. There's some kind of plate in here that rides up with the blade and kind of locks everything into place on both sides. It's a very unique situation in there. I don't know the mechanics or anything. I recommend you check YouTube. I'm sure there's a disassembly / detailed video going over the Hawk Deadlock and how it operates. And you can watch that, because I'm not going to do a good job explaining it. All I can tell you is it does what it says it does, and it works really well doing it. It's not the strongest deployment OTF I've tried. The Hogue Compound was an absolute shotgun, but it does retract really strong, and it has a good deployment. It's just not like some crazy thing I've never seen. You can deploy it real easy. It slides very smoothly on this carbon fiber. No problem. I believe this is titanium. I think they did do some in aluminum and then they switched over, so it's possible this is aluminum, but I don't know. Is it the easiest OTF I've ever fired? No, I think the Guardian Tactical 025 is still easier. It's on those ceramic balls. It really just fires so easily. It's a smaller knife. And I would say the Kershaw Livewire, for me, fires equally as well as this. But it's right at the top of the list of the best firing OTFs, you know? But it doesn't like, I mean, it's cool and it's good, but it doesn't like, you know, blow me away or anything like, you know, yeah, it just doesn't make me think like, oh, there's some magic in there. Like, you know, the magic is that it doesn't have play, you know? And it comes down to, honestly, two things for me with this knife. Aesthetically, does it appeal to you? And two, how much do you care about not having play on your OTF? And even though I'm like super OCD about, my blade play and all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't matter to me that this has no play in any direction or anything like that. Even though it's really cool. Hold on. Sorry, my wife came in and then left the door open and is loud as hell in the shower. So yeah, it just comes down to that for me, and it's not high on my list when it comes to OTFs because I know they're kind of novelty, and I'm not going to use them for hard use, and it's really not going to make that much of a difference with what I do that I would want to pay that much more for it. You know what I mean? And then the design. If the design struck me, then, dude, I would be all over it. Trust me. I'd be hunting one down right now in fat carbon, and I would gladly pay $1,500 to $2,000 for it. So, you know, it's worth the money. It's made in the United States. It's got an amazingly cool, unique feature. And then it's made extremely well. I mean, there's no arguing how cool it is. The clip is sort of a spring clip. You just pull this up, slide it in your pocket, let go. It's very easy to use. It works really well. I'm surprised more people don't use it, but I think mostly because of the size of this knife and the fact that it's an OTF, it works. But I think on a folding knife, you know, it might get a little bit in the way. It might be a little bit too obnoxious. But honestly, it's a really good clip, and I'm surprised more people don't use it. But there is obviously a spring in there, or I would assume there is, so something can break, and, you know, you have all that to worry about. But yeah, that's the Hawk Deadlock. I don't have a ton to talk about with it. Occasionally it feels like it gets a little bit gummy in the switch. I don't know if that just comes down to, you know, cleaning the knife and everything. I don't know how much Chef Rocky has maintained this. You know, I could probably put a couple of drops of oil around each corner, but I don't know if I'm supposed to. I don't know how that works, so I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to get this back to him in the order that I got it, which was very good. I did cut with it and carry it, but that was about it. And it did all of that very well. It's not super heavy for what it is, you know. It's not like light, but it's carried really well. I carried it front left pocket because it doesn't matter. The switch, I mean, the edge is on both sides, so you just carry it however you want. It doesn't make a difference, really. Never had a thought about this, like, deploying in my pocket or anything. That wasn't something I was concerned about at all. Yeah, I really don't have much else to say about it. I think it's really cool, and I get it. But it's just not for me, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. Size comparisons for the people who want to know. There's an f5.5. I don't know really how to line these up. I guess we'll do blade, like handle to handle. Something a little bigger. Is this bigger? I don't know. The Demco 8020.5 shark's foot. I mean, it's basically the size of a shark's foot one. This is a transparent knives reblade, but you can see there. There's that guy. And what else do I have here? I can show you. A Divo knife stout. Right there. So it's, you know, probably a 3.5-inch blade is what I would venture to guess. Yeah, maybe a little bit less than 3.5, and then you have quite a bit more on the handle. We can do measurements real quick, actually. Let's see here. Let's see what we got here. Tip. All right, so the blade is about 3.5 inches, as suspected, and your handle is about almost 5 inches. So, yeah, I mean, the blade to handle ratio is not great, but I'll be honest, you don't notice it. Most OTFs, or a lot of them, have this issue where the blade looks way shorter than the handle because they have to fit the whole blade into this handle and a mechanism and have enough room for recoil and all that stuff, right? And this does not in any way look off. And that's something that's important with an OTF. I hate when they look like the blade is just way too short. This does not look off. Those are the numbers, but it doesn't look off at all. So they did a great job with that. Yeah, the jimping on here is really good. It feels really good in the hand. In most grips, again, you just can't, you can't ride up. You can get to about here. And it does, I will say, it cuts surprisingly well for a double-edged dagger OTF. I haven't messed with too many, but it cut the cardboard I put it through real easy. And, I'm sure you get used to not being able to slide your thumb up. It's just something I enjoy doing. So there you go. You guys let me know what you think down below. I think it's awesome. If you picked one up, then you should be happy that you picked it up. If you're thinking about it, dem's my thoughts. You got to decide if the design is for you, then I think the knife is worth every single penny. So I love you guys. Thank you so much to Chef Rocky. Go check out his YouTube channel, his Instagram. Hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.